the other taxes are paid. Now, in most cases, the agency margin that's paid to the worker will include compensation for the employer's NI. So where the agency is making the RTI return, are you expecting them to be making it based on that element of pay, or is the situation that in all cases the employer's NI is going to be paid by the public sector?
So I'm not sure if I understand what you're saying. In the example where it's a recruitment agency, they will be responsible for paying on the payment that they make to the contractor.
Yeah.
Employers' national insurance contributions, tax, national insurance contributions, and there'll be no.
Because in the document it shows that the public sector's making the employers NI.
Yeah. So that where they're directly engaged. Right. Then that'll be what happens. But yeah, it'll be a simple what the contractor's company gets. That's what will be. That's okay.
That's my done.
I think it's practical to say that most contractors would want to understand what their status is going to be before they start the contract. So will the tool? So I assume the tool will be available for them to test their status before they start.
Yeah. So the tool will just be online and it'll be accessible to anyone, even people in the private sector.
So I'm just envisaging a situation where a contractor will be speaking to an agency, will want to know the status before they start the contract, but in reality you don't know the status until you've actually started the contract and doing the work. So I don't understand how those two are going to tie together.
I can see where you're coming from. I think in the majority of cases they will know the status. There are people on the board when status can be difficult to ascertain. In most cases, I think particularly with the public sector, you'll be able to easily say whether someone would be an employee or self-employed. I think they'll also, I imagine recruitment agencies will put a process in place, the public sector will have a process in place to be able to identify when they advertise positions, whether or not this person would be an employee or self-employed. I expect that will happen fairly early on. I mean, working in the public sector myself, processes is what we're good at, so we'll pick up that as part of our advertising process when we're looking for contractors to take on roles. In the majority of cases, I think that they'll know what the engager's opinion on the status is beforehand, particularly as this is only applied to the public sector.
Can you explain something more about taxation?
Yeah, we're working on building in offsets so that double taxation is avoided in the legislation that becomes out. We're aware that there might be a potential problem, so we are doing this to take care of that.
This is obviously the issue of the public sector. Is there any defence as to whether it could happen if it is to happen in the private sector?
So I did say I did mean to say, sorry, I didn't actually say, I did mean to say in the talk that I did that we have heard that a lot of commentators are saying that this is going to apply to the private sector as soon as we've done it in the public sector. There are no plans for us to apply this to the private sector. The reality is that the private sector is a very different beast to the public sector in a lot of ways, so it doesn't necessarily follow that something that works for the public sector will work for the private sector. We do think that this is a little bit easier with the public sector. We'll have to see how this goes. The advantage for us here in relation to the private sector is that's now, once these changes come in, well, that's where we'll be able to focus our compliance work. The pool in which the companies we're looking at will be narrower. We'll be able to make a stronger effort in the private sector, and there are other advantages as well. The key one being the new online tool. So the confusion around status will be much reduced for a lot of contractors, and what that will mean is we'll see far fewer contractors stumbling into non-compliance because of a lack of understanding of their status, and we'll be able to focus on those who obviously feel that it's...
Hang on a second.
This is Mike. Yeah, currently you've got an ESI catch on the revenue. When you do it, it's anonymous. So there's no name, music, when you actually get a verification, you don't actually have a list of what you've actually requested on the answers to the
it's almost certain that we'll be able to have something that you're able to show us, regardless of actually what the outcome is. I mean, and we understand that most people will definitely want to store, you know, the outcome of this tool, and that will be helpful for us. You know, the tool won't change its answers, so, and HMRC inspectors will be using the same tool as soon as we introduce it, as everyone else will be, because, you know, why wouldn't they? So, regardless, even if you don't keep a bit of paper that says it, if the inspector puts the same answers, the same responses to the questions as you have into a tool, you know, and as I say, as long as those are accurate and appropriate, then they will, then they'll come out with the same response.